Speaking of just the tips and not covering the full scope of the week, we have got our games of the week. Tybo, I believe you
What
are going to
kind of
take,
transition was that?
don't worry about it. I
I
think you're going
got
to be
the
taking Thursday night's game.
I got the Thursday night game.
Thursday night!
Commanders Packers. Both teams 1-0. They will thin the herd of the undefeated in the NFL. Because neither team or both teams cannot be 2-0 after this game. Um, Packers defense. I think they're going to be one of the best in the NFL this season. But the Commanders are an up and coming, really exciting team. I just feel like it's going to be tightly contested. I really do. Um, Plenty of weapons for the Commanders, and they played a team like the Giants and got to shake out a little bit of the kinks. Like they didn't have like a dominant game by any means, um, but they definitely shook the rust off and were happy with the result. You know, obviously getting a win. So I'm big on the Commanders. As skeptical as I was last season of Jaden Daniels, there's still a healthy amount of skepticism. I don't think he uses the whole field consistently, and I think that's just like a learning curve as a young quarterback making the transition to the NFL game. Um, so he's constantly getting better, and I think that's probably what I admire about him the most. Um, and it's gonna be a tough test with the Packers. I don't like Green Bay. I don't like Jordan Love, but I do like Micah Parsons on that defense, and I like a lot of the playmakers that they have. So really, if you want to just take the Commanders offense versus the Packers defense matchup, that's more of the game of the week to me than just this game. That's really what I'm going to be watching. Every time the Commanders are on the field, I'm going to be glued to the TV, or the Commanders offense is on the field. I'm going to be glued to the TV. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. Not par for the course for Thursday night games, but it's going to be a
That's
good game.
I was actually going to say pretty much the same exact thing. If I was to say one thing favors in this matchup to the commies more than anything, it's their ability to what they're going to be able to face offensively. And that means pass rush. Pass rush for the Packers is really good. You've got Micah Parsons. This is something that could potentially be worrisome for most quarterbacks, unless you're Jaden Daniels, who's been able to move on his feet very, very well, move around the pocket. That's going to be the matchup to watch. 100%, no ifs, ands, or buts. Is because the question coming into this season for the commies, everybody's on the commies, is they did not perform against playoff teams last year. They went 1-4, and the one game that they won was the Eagles' second game when they already had the division locked up, and ultimately the number one seed. They could go ahead and rest. So the commies realistically they need to show that this season is not the same as last. And so those are the two big pieces here is are they the same as last year where they're losing to playoff teams? What regardless of what we think about the Packers, they are a playoff team, at least from last year. And see if they can come out on a better foot.
Yeah, this would be a textbook statement win for the Commanders. Like it does way more in my mind. It does way more for the Commanders to win this game than it would be the Packers. I
Yes,
still feel
100%.
like, yeah, I still feel like coming out of week two, 1-1, the Packers still probably see a lot of success in the season. Um, Especially if I'm predicting that they have one of the best defenses in the NFL throughout this regular season. But yeah, the commies coming out of week two, 2-0, and beating the Packers, as you said, a playoff team from last year. This would do so much for a young team, relatively new coaching staff. Like this would do wonders for a young team in the Commanders.
Packers losing this game would bring some big concerns. Losing this
I
game
don't
does
think it
worse
does.
for them
I
than
just
winning
said
this
like I
game.
feel like coming out of week two 1-1, their defense is good enough that I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, fair.
I also just don't think Packers are true contenders.
I
They
don't
will
either.
have a great defense. This Micah Parsons addition gets them a little bit closer, but I still don't think they're like true contenders. They're a good NFC team, but a Super Bowl contending team, I'm not sure that they're that.
Well, a
No,
game to keep
I'm not
your
going to say the word sure. I know that they're not that.
a game to keep your eye on here in week 2. We're not sure if it's a game of the week. It definitely has the possibilities
We're
to,
we're
but
calling it a game to watch.
it's a game to watch for sure. We've got the Broncos and the Colts. The Colts at home are 1.5 point dogs. The Broncos definitely underperformed to the expectations in week 1 to a we don't know what the Titans are. We're still going to call them a bad team at the moment because they've got too many pieces. They're too new. They're too young in areas that are most important for a team. The Colts overperformed. We had no actually, I can't even say that they overperformed. We had no expectations for him. There was no Anthony Richardson. Daniel Jones was a failed quarterback out of New York that didn't really do anything elsewhere when he got cut. The Colts, we had no expectations for, none whatsoever, and they came out and they had a fantastic game last week. And so this is just something to keep your eye on. As Tybo explained it to me earlier, we've got a team that had no expectations and a team that had expectations, and they were flip-flopped in the way that they performed. And so let's see if this can't be a fantastic game. It could also be a really shitty game. Who knows?
Yeah, and the Broncos were lucky to win that week 1 game because if they would have come out of week 2 0-2 to the Titans and the Colts, everybody, including everybody in the Broncos organization, would be panicking about the season. There's
Still
still a
should
little
if
bit of
they lose
concern.
this week.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of concern with how they performed in week 1. If they go ahead and lose to a team like the Colts, maybe that Broncos roster isn't everything we cracked it up to be.
Defensively, still very good. There's no question about that. Offensively, there's some questions that they need to get figured out in week 2. My
I just know
game
that
of
like that
oh yeah,
first the first half of that Broncos Titans game, neither team looked like an NFL team. That
no,
that
no,
that first
not
half
at
was
all.
pretty bad
Looked like a typical Thursday night football game.
for real.
Well, final game of the week. This is not a game to watch. This is a game of the week here. I'm taking Sunday night football, Falcons versus Vikings in Minnesota, who they are 3.5 point favorites at home. I am very surprised that Vegas is siding with the Vikings here, even though the Falcons took a loss in week 1. It was to Tampa, who was the division winners. It was a last second field goal miss that could have gone into overtime. We've covered that quite extensively. I'm very surprised that Vegas is swinging towards the Vikings, given how poorly JJ McCarthy played in 3.5 quarters of that game. Fourth quarter was very, very good for them. They got the ship taken care of, but I think it was more of a blunder from the Bears than it was anything that the Vikings did necessarily fantastic. I think the Bears just collapsed.
But yeah,
The
3-5 spread with the Vikings being at home means they just favor them by a half a point.
half, yeah, still that's very surprising because I think the Falcons performed very well against a very good Titan or Tampa Bay offense and defense. They did very good. They had ebbs and flows in the game. I honestly don't know if this game's very close. I don't because I like the Vikings, or excuse me, I like the Falcons defense. I really like the Falcons offense and the things that they can do now that they have a quarterback who's not afraid to sling it and can move around in the pocket.
Or at least has the ability to sling it. He's not working on a repaired Achilles, and
Yeah,
he's not
like
pushing 40.
he's also not afraid to go out and make a play. That's one of the things that we can always say about Kirk Cousins, no matter where he was, injury or no injury. There were times where you saw Kirk Cousins play and he looked like he was afraid to make a play happen. He could let it sling when he's down and he's trying to make the game come back, but when he's got a lead or he's anywhere near being tied, like you just don't know what you're going to get from Kirk. And that's the thing with Michael Penix Jr. is he's going to go out and no matter what, he's going to leave it on the field. He's going to try and always make a play and keep them either ahead or within in a shooting distance. Vikings, there's just too many questions. They did not run the ball well. Wide receivers couldn't get too much separation, but also JJ McCarthy was running for his life for 90% of that game. So just he's got these intangibles where He throws a 74-yard pick six and he goes in and he's got confidence in the team and he's trying to hype him up. Guy seems to be a leader, at least with what we saw against the Bears. I don't know how long that lasts against the teams that they're going to have to play this season.
Yeah, I'd probably lean the Falcons' way as well. Um, but getting wins on the road is tough in the NFL. So
Tough.
I
It's
can't
tough.
I
It's
can't
definitely
say
not.
I can't say I blame Vegas for the spread and choosing leaning the Vikings way. But
They've definitely got a
personal
good home
opinion,
crowd in Minnesota too. Like that. That
yeah.
is no joke. They're loud. They're rowdy. They show up. There's not much else to do in Minnesota during this time of year. But I digress.
You go fishing.
Yeah, they got a lot of lakes out there.
You can always go fishing up there.